Oh, snap. I know what sex you are now. You are a boy. Whoa. That's huge. You're a boy. I didn't have an expectation. I mean, I didn't have a preference. But you're a boy. I had an expectation of what to feel or be happy with upon knowing what your sex was. For example, if you happened to have been a girl, I would have been like, sweet. Because then having a girl as the first child, I want to have at least 3 if possible, right? And having a girl as the first child would mean if I had a boy as the next child, that boy would grow up with an older sister. And I don't see how a boy growing up with an older sister could not benefit that boy in some way. It's always beneficial to have an older sister, right? For many reasons. You understand how to act around women, right? You understand how to respect a woman. You understand how to talk to, right? Because you would have, if you, a child growing up around an older sister would have to negotiate with that sister. Talk to her, figure out how to satisfy one's own needs through the satisfaction of someone else. And a man trying to satisfy his or her own needs through the satisfaction of a woman is a very important thing to know how to do. So, say you were a woman, that's an amazing thing. Also, if you were a woman, then it would be amazing to see your relationship with your mom, and I would love to see how I would have interacted with you, being the very first child and being a woman. It would be really, really fun to see how I would learn how to interact with you, because you would come with your own personal set of joys and difficulties, right? And since I am not a woman, I would have to understand you on another level that I have not been able to understand my wife, your mom, right? Like, you would come to me or you'd come to your mom with certain worries, concerns, issues that I have never had to deal with before my entire life. And that would have been really fun to figure out. If you were a boy, on the other hand, I would be really excited to explore what it's like to be me again, right? It would be really fun to see how you approach life. Obviously, I would relate to you a little bit more than if you're a woman, because simply put, you're a boy, you're going through the same physical changes that I went through. It would be, in a sense, reliving my life through your eyes, but then obviously not in a forceful way. It would have been like, oh, this is another life that could have happened. When you come to me and you tell me all your experiences, right? Then I would be like, wow, this is what I was going through at that phase, if I remembered. This is what you're going through this phase. Sweet, this is the differences, and we can analyze. Basically, it's really analytical. But then obviously, I would try not to communicate in such an analytical way when you come to me with your concerns. It would kind of the analysis side would kind of remain in the back of my mind while I am being father, friend, whatever role you would need in that moment. That whole prospect sounds super exciting. Figuring out how to navigate those roles with you is good. It's going to be super exciting. That's unbiased to sex, right? So I'm going to undertake a variety of roles now that you exist, right? Whether you're a boy or girl. And as a girl, certain roles I would have to adopt that I will not have to adopt as a boy, and vice versa. So that's also super, super exciting to think how to navigate these new roles. How will they then in turn alter my identity and see you go through the same process? It's just, the whole prospect is so fucking exciting for me because it's like I am reliving life once again once again, as I interact with you, living your life for the first time. I don't see how, from that perspective, I don't see how this can't be the most exciting adventure anyone can go on. And at the same time, I have to continue living my life. It's so cool. So when you get old enough and you come of age where you have to like find a mate, have a family, if you choose to have that type of life, this is essentially the message I'm going to partake, or I'm going to give you, is you are about to embark on an adventure that will allow you to relive life anew while continuing living your life. And since that is where I find so much joy, that's how I'm going to share it with you. And the only way for me to enjoy reliving my life as you live your life is to let you live your life as you want to live your life, as you find it valuable, as you find it important. And just experience it with you. I cannot force you to live a certain way to a degree. There are some things that I have to force you to do, but that's not unique to you. I have to force you to be a upstanding citizen of the location where you live. You're not going to naturally know how to do that. In that sense, yes, there are some things that I have to force you to do. Be kind to strangers. I have to force you to do that. That's not going to come 100% natural to you, possibly. But there are some certain things that have to do with your identity that only you can figure out. One of those exciting things that I can't wait to experience is moments when typically you would expect your parents to make decisions for you. I'm really excited to not make decisions for you in those moments, to develop this philosophy to help you develop this philosophy where it's your responsibility to make decisions about your life. And it's your responsibility to pursue interests and to discover your interests. In a sense, when you've lived your life and you're now my age or older or a little bit younger, whatever, when you're able to kind of reminisce on the life you have lived, this is the type of reminiscing that I would really enjoy you to have. Is I would love you to talk about favorite foods, favorite drinks, favorite experiences, favorite moments that you created. I would love the majority of your favorite experiences to be ones that you created, not to be ones that I created for you. Of course, that they're going to exist too. That's part of me fulfilling my role, is I have to create experiences for you. But I want the majority of your most memorable ones to be ones you created. So that when you're reminiscing with a girlfriend or a friend or a wife, yourself, it's, I remember when I want that. And then occasionally, I remember when my dad, type of thing. I want to provide that type of environment where your memories are occupied like that. And to be completely selfish, I can't wait to see if we can have like philosophical or analytical discussions about life. I can't wait. Of course, if it's not possible, it's not possible. It's always going to be possible to some degree, but it might not be possible to the way I am envisioning it right now. And that's another part of me coming to terms with my relationship with you, etc., which is also an exciting venture. So you're a boy. And you got about 3 months left before you will want to get the hell out of your mom's belly. That's nuts. 3 months left. You're moving a lot. Tons. Much more than you used to. Still haven't been able to figure out, still haven't been able to kind of like understand meaning to your movement. But you're moving a lot. And I will never really be able to understand meaning to your movement because you're not moving inside of me. So I have very limited exposure and interaction with your movement. All I can do is put my hand on your mom's belly and then feel you kick sometimes. We have a couple of videos showing you kind of like pushing, so you can see the mom's skin kind of go, kind of like It's just kind of fun. Don't know whether I don't know what some. Oh shoot, the laundry's done. Okay, I gotta pause this. Okay, back. Laundry, yeah, back. That took about a day for me to finish doing that laundry. So I talked a little bit about you, and so now a little bit about myself, the current state that I'm in with my dreams, goals, etc. Been making a lot of progress with the language learning methodology. I would almost say spiritual experience with my students last week on Friday. I've been making the promise to them that what I'm teaching them, what they're learning will help them learn English in a way similar to how they learned their native language, Japanese or Thai, whatever language was their native. And of course, they want to, because we all have this natural inclination to pursue and want to surround ourselves with what is natural, and so we all agree that learning language, the natural way of learning language is how we learned our native language. So I made the promise that this is the way that I'm trying to. I want to teach them how to learn English the natural way, and we're on like 4 weeks now. Technically, we're only on the second week. For 2 weeks, I kind of was still a little unclear as to what I wanted, what my promise was to them, and so it wasn't by the second week that I knew concretely what it is that I can do for them. That is the process of the creative process. You never really know where you're at or what you're doing all the time. You have this vague idea, this vague goal, this vague dream, this vague shape in your mind as to what you want to do, but it isn't until you communicate this vague shape to your environment and receive feedback do you know more concretely what is that shape. So by the second week, I knew concretely that I was going to help them learn English in a natural way. They all want to, but it wasn't until 2, 3, I can't remember exactly what week it is, but I think I'm on the 4th week. It wasn't until 2 weeks later that they kind of got it. They're like, oh, so that's what you're talking about. Like, they knew it in the beginning, right? We all have this natural inclination to desire natural, right? It's a natural inclination to desire the natural, right? The natural way. But it wasn't until 2 weeks later that natural desire became cognizant as to the shape of this. Like, they actually realized, you're right. As if like the entire time they're going off of a hunch, but faith almost, right? So when I saw that click in their minds, it caused even a deeper assurance within my mind that what I'm doing is correct. And what caused the click was I realized they need to feel like they can use the language that they're learning. As soon as they think they can use the language that they're learning, without ever being told how to use it. Just, there's something about using a language we have this desire to achieve. It's not when there's the traditional ways you receive a word in its full complete spelling, and then you receive a definition of that word, and then you are to somehow fix or assimilate this word into your already existent lexicon, vocabulary, language system. And the prevailing ideology is you do this by using it. What I discovered was that's not how it naturally happens. How it naturally happens is you receive a shell of what the word is. You receive an empty vesicle of what the word is, right? So in the case of, so in this case, it's the beginning and last sounds of a word. You receive that, and then the next step is to use that. So it's you don't receive some definition, some meaning of it, and then try to figure out how to use it. You receive just this shell, this container that's completely empty, and you use that completely empty container, which in any other aspect of life makes sense. If you had a plastic container that's completely empty, you have an idea of how to use it. There isn't a set way, but you have an idea of how to use it. You know that there is a function of this thing, and so you use it somehow. Similar to that, you can use a completely empty container that is a sound, right? And it's just a matter of understanding how to use something that has no meaning. Once the brain understands how to use something that has no meaning, it gets really excited and it wants to continue to use it, because every single time you use it, you create meaning. It's like every use of that sound leaves within it some essence of what it means, because the environment that uses that word knows what it means. It has this environment. According to the environment, this container is full of a quite precise meaning that it can articulate to some degree. And so when you use it, you receive some feedback from the environment as to what it potentially can mean, and you are left with whatever part of that feedback you understand, and you use it again, and you keep using this word until it becomes increasingly less empty and increasingly full, until you have a word that is that definition, right? But it has been altered slightly to mirror more what you want it to mean. It mirrors more than it is defined more. It's defined less how it is in a dictionary, which is this all-purpose, completely detached from any particular context. Something that you can kind of like cut and paste into any context definition, and it mirrors more a definition that is meaningful to you, because in order to use anything, you have to have some type of investment in the process from the very beginning. So it's still kind of abstract. I as I'm explaining this, I still I'm not fully convinced that what I'm saying is convincing to other people. But one thing that is convincing is meaning is defined by the user as the user interacts with the environment. Okay. Meaning is not given to the user and then the user has to somehow assimilate it. It's defined by the user through interaction with the environment. So the user has user has control over the meaning. But the user can't just run willy-nilly with the meaning and just decide that cat now means dog and dog now means cat, because the environment won't allow it. So the environment acts as this gatekeeper to potential meaning. So the user receives this empty word, which another way of looking at it is a user receives this empty container that is full of potential, right? Now, full of potential means anything's possible, but reality is not anything's possible. It's up to the user to figure out what is and what is not possible. And the user does this by using the word to interact with the environment wherein that word has its defined meaning. In the environment, little by little, the environment communicates to the user what the actual potential of this word is. But because it's always, because it's never defined concretely at any stage during this process, there are moments when the user can decide for him or herself what certain little nuances of this can mean, which is evidence of this personal relationship we have with language, especially with abstract words like love. Everyone kind of has their own definition of love, right? Language is designed to allow that. This isn't an accident. It isn't coincidental that love is defined differently by each person. Language is designed to allow the user to have some say in the definition, some say in the meaning, so that when the user produces this sound in conjunction with a bunch of other sounds to create an utterance and to create an entire speech, whatever, there is a essence of the user in every single part of that utterance. And if one doesn't have, and if the shape of language doesn't allow for this, then the user cannot learn it, doesn't want to learn it. There is no desire to learn it. And that essentially is the shape of language in traditional language learning classrooms. Is a cold, concrete, full absence of any potential shape of language. And the role of user in this unnatural environment is to somehow force this concrete shape into his or her identity, and you can't do that. Identity is forced into an identity is forced into a shape. You don't force shapes into identity. Identity is the thing that you mold through the use of language, not the other way around. You don't mold language into the use of your identity. That may not make sense. I know there's something valuable in what I just barely said. And so what I'm going to be doing today is there are, once one has acquired this empty container, there is a step. There are two steps required to be able to use a language, use this container meaningfully. The first step is to gather material from the environment as to what type of word this is. In other words, you find a category into which this word belongs. And you find a category into which this word is a type of. For example, if the word was poodle, then you would first find the category dog, and then you know said word is a type of dog. So there's a way of finding that category, and then once you have that category, you can use the word. So there's the first step is finding the category, and that in itself is a categorical function, but specifically parts of. So you gather a bunch of parts of this word into a category, and then from that you deduce or induce, I can't remember, I think it's induce. You induce what this word would be a type of. Once you get that, you decide what you think of a type of this category. You think of a word that is a type of this category that you already know. Since you already know it, you already have a functional. You already know how to use it. You use that word, but instead of using that word, you pretend that this target word is that word, and then you receive feedback from the environment as to whether or not this utterance is correct. It will not be correct, but from that mistake, from that failure of using it correctly, you do understand some of its potential. So it's like this game of trying to understand the potential of a word through understanding what it is not. So it's like I've heard this phrase, constraint satisfaction, in a lot of different literature that's related to this, but kind of not. And every definition of that constraint satisfaction is kind of is tiptoeing around what I'm trying at. Surprisingly, though, the only field in which constraint satisfaction is highly studied and researched is in artificial intelligence, machine learning, etc. I'm realizing that the more I understand this, the more I understand what my goal is, the more I see it mirrored in the goals of individuals trying to understand machine learning and artificial intelligence. So it's almost like we've given up on understanding human intelligence, and we're just trying to. And so we're like understanding machine intelligence or teaching machines how to be like humans is more important than understanding how humans are humans. It's so weird. But okay, I'm rambling too much. It's not rambling, it's just I've said too much.